welcome to Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, episode 91. And officially, now that all of our rally events are done, it's time for us to move on to the start of the endurance events. And how exactly I'm going to do this? Well, most of these I'm basically going to do from shortest to longest, but longitudinally, I will probably do this in my order, and how exactly that order is going to look, I'm not revealing any hinters. But officially, it's now time for our first endurance event in this game, and obviously, I'm going to go for what will probably be obviously the shortest event of all 10 endurance events in this game, and that is Super Speedway 150 miles. And I did have a look to see what the possible opponents were on the GT fandom page, and well, I've decided on which car I'm going to use, and well, I'm going to use the Rufar GT, because I've driven a lot of cars in my garage, and this is one of those cars I've not driven yet, so I'm going to use this one. And I think all I really need to do is just put on some racing super slick tyres, even though I will also put on stage 1 of weight reduction just in case. And well, yeah, sure, why not? Let's put on the semi-racing suspension. And hopefully that should be everything. Except for saying I'll give this thing a car wash, because, you know, why not? And also gonna give it an oil change, just so that I've got a little bit more horsepower. And hopefully that should be everything we need, because it is time for us to head down to the endurance events. And I did count these up. There is a total of 10 endurance events we need to get through, and I'm going to go for the first one, which is clearly going to be the shortest, and that is Super Speedway 150 miles. So 200 grand if we can win this race. We can use any car for this event, except for saying that we do of course need the international A license in order for us to enter, and let's get on with this. And I think, as far as I know, this event will probably take me about, presumably, over an hour long, because of how short Super Speedway is compared to many other circuits. Don't think I really need to change anything. Also, I should probably mention that with each of these endurance events we get a rolling start, and we can also qualify, but not going to do that. So yeah, let's get on with this. And I'm not going to waste too much time fiddling about with what I think is going to happen, because we're basically doing 100 laps around Super Speedway, and I know it's inevitable these AI are going to pit, and already the Lancer has fallen back, and I've already overtaken the S2000. Also got a little loose there, but already moving up into 4th position, and we've got quite a tussle going on at the moment for the lead, as of which the CTR2 leads the pack before he slides up high. His AI immediately back out in front of me, as of which in some cases I did not think... well, I did think that was going to happen, I just wasn't able to avoid the inevitable. Because these AI really know how to shoot up high in the corner and then suddenly shoot back down again, because they are literally running the Richard Petty line when they do that, but yet they're not actually staying up high. And Even though I might be at the disadvantage at the present time in terms of straight line speed, it will probably not be long before I do manage to officially take over the lead solidly. And furthermore, yes, there is a good reason on why I put on the super slicks. Because it is what I need to survive each of these stints without spinning out in the corners. And already in the space of just 3 laps in this event, I have already taken the lead by 2.7 seconds. After just 3 laps into this race, I think it's pretty clear to say who is probably going to be the clear-cut winner, because of how incompetent these AI are around the circuit. Their incompetence, combined of course with my unity towards tyre longevity, has officially allowed me to already break myself away from the rest of the field, and that margin is only going to increase because after 4 laps I'm already leading this by 4.5 seconds. I won't be keeping you too much up to date with the intervals because I know for sure with my super slick strategy I am going to win this race anyway, because it wouldn't surprise me if these AI are running on the racing slicks. And already the Turismo skyline is in the pits, as of which it is a bit early in my honest opinion for these AI to be pitting, but already after 5 laps the Turismo skyline's tyres have already been shot. So I'm assuming he must have been running on possibly the sports tyres, maybe even the simulation tyres, or it was probably on the racing softs. Because even though those tyres are quick, the truth is, I know for sure those tyres will not last very long. And already the CTR2 is in the pits, so I think it's pretty clear this race is going to come down to tyre strategy, and it already looks like I'm going to put the Skyline 1 lap down up to this point. After he's made his pit stop, he rejoins right in front of me. I tried my hardest not to hit him, but it was going to come out in front of me anyways, even though it probably won't affect me too much because I will easily manage to overlap him already, and officially this race is probably going to go by in a hurry. And as a result of these AI making pit stops, it is now the Motorsport Elise that takes second position in this race, and then I think it's the Mugen S2000 ahead of the Mainz City Evo 6, which I believe of course is the running order from 2nd to 5th, and not far off my personal best, as of which I think it's pretty clear that my lap times are clearly faster than those of the AI. Although another thing that probably helps of course is that during endurance events, rubber banding is quite weak in my honest opinion, but endurance events are quite easy if you have the racing super slicks, and obviously when you do have those on whichever car you're using, depending on knowing of course if it's up to specs with the AI, then obviously you can basically get through this race pretty quickly, whether you either are or aren't using an overpowered car. It's pretty clear to see why this event is clearly the shortest running of all the endurance events in this game, because I'm already 10 laps into this event, and I've only been driving for literally 6 minutes. So this might turn out to be a boring race, but at the very least, I can still say that I am at least being experimental with the choices I make, and furthermore, I do also have a reasonable sum of money to compensate with the earnings of my terrible organisational skills of playing through this game, because I have got to be honest, those are quite terrible, but anyways. One thing I am able to say for sure is that I am less than a lap clear of 2 cars now. And I would imagine the Mines Lancer Evo 4 is probably going to stay in 4th position because I would think because of his low top speed through these corners, and also because of both the roof CTR2 and the Nismo Skyline both hitting, I would imagine he is probably going to stay in 4th position for most of this race, because evidently it appears to be pretty obvious, unless he is just up ahead of the S2K, in which case he probably is, and oh okay, he's now moved up to 2nd. Well, I think it's pretty clear to say the Evo 6 will probably stay in 3rd for most of this race, because the Motorsport Elise has already pitted, and I would imagine it's not going to be long before the Evo 6 pits. And he's coming into the pits now, as it is the Mugen S2000 that now takes over 2nd place from the Evo. And it does look as though the overcut, once we get into the later stages of this race, will probably turn out to be more beneficial than the undercut, as of which it is the Mugen S2000 that now takes over 2nd position, and where after 14 laps I have already overlapped the entire field. So I think it's pretty clear to say this will probably be a dominant margin of victory, is what me thinks. Because I myself, with the unity of tyre longevity regarding the super slicks, I would say I have got virtually no chance of losing this race by the time we get up to the halfway point. Provided, of course, if I can keep myself going, and I'm pretty sure I can. Because these AI are not beneficial opponents around a course such as this one. Okay, pretty much 1.5 tenths off my previous PB, and it looks as though it is clearly going to be tyres that will probably decide the outcome of this race, depending on what happens from here. As of which I do now overlap the Evo 6 once again. So he is now already 2 laps down, and I think it's pretty clear to say that I'm probably going to dominate the rest of this race from what I can see here. Considering it took me about 6 minutes to do 10 laps around this course, so I would imagine it will probably take me somewhere just over an hour to finish this event, even though I'm driving quite terribly at the moment, considering I will need to pit sooner or later, but hopefully my aggressive driving style through turns 1 and 2 will not be too aggressive on the right side tyres. Even though I'm not even properly racing up to this point, because I have already pulled ahead of everyone else, is what methinks. Once I make a pit stop, I can probably have a drink. Okay, so lap times are starting to fall off just a little bit. But again, I think my tyres are in good condition at the moment. I would reckon they can probably go another 7, maybe 8 laps before I need to get them off and put a fresh set of boots on. Dependent on knowing what the winning margins will be in the end, I'm probably not keeping up, but I'm pretty sure that it'll probably be possibly lap 28, maybe 29, by the time I've overlapped the entire field twice. Because I think it's pretty clear to say up to this point, it will clearly be a dominant victory for myself, is what me thinks. So I think I've got potentially a few more laps on these tyres, so I don't want to pit too soon. Or else it could basically fuck up my strategy completely, but again, strategy really doesn't matter because I know for sure this is going to be a race that, up to this point, I'm now probably guaranteed to win, judging by everything that I've seen at the moment. And officially, I'm nearly a quarter distance into this race overall. So by the time it reaches 15 minutes, I would estimate it probably is going to take me just over an hour to officially dominate this race, because that is how much of a comfortable margin I have at the moment. So 23 laps are down. I would say it's probably the Mugen S2000 that is running in second position over the Motorsport Elise. The Mines Lancer Evo 6 is probably running in fourth. Then it is the Roof CTR2 running in fifth, and then at the back it is the Nismo Skyline. So my right side tyres are starting to show some wear, but I'm pretty sure I can go at least a few more laps on this set of boots before I need to change them. And then we'll just have to wait and see what happens from there. I'm pretty sure this is now the second time I've overlapped the Mugen S2000 in this event. So I think that officially means that I will overlap the entire field twice up to this point. And, oh fuck me. almost made it through without my contact, but evidently the S2000 attempted to shut the door on me, but it wasn't going to work because I'd already committed myself to the inside line before he even had a minuscule thought of closing the door. I mean, he couldn't have avoided the inevitable, and nor could I, because I was pretty sure that up to this point I would overlap the entire field twice, and let me think. And I would reckon, at the very least, I'm probably going to win this race by presumably... Yeah, I'm just doing the math at the moment. Just trying to estimate what my winning margin will be over the second placed car. Yeah. I'm estimating my winning margin at the very least will probably be 6 laps. But again, that is just an estimation. I don't know for definite, but I think the winning margin in the end will probably be precisely 6 laps at the least. Well, either 6 or 7 laps, depending on how dominant my car is. And at the moment, of course, my car is clearly putting on a dominant performance. And there's pretty much no disputing. And there's pretty much no disputing and saying the possibilities of myself winning this race are pretty much very high. So, right side tyres are still proving of course to have serious signs of wear, but again, my left side tyres are still doing okay, so I think I'll go for probably another 4, maybe 5 laps and then I'll go into the pits. Because I would say my tyres at the moment are looking pretty good on the left hand side, even then of course if my right side tyres are almost shot. Oh, okay. It's actually the Spoon S2000, to my correction, not the Mugen S2000. The Spoon S2000. Yeah, that's what it is. Well, whatever. Well, whatever. I think I can go a couple more laps on my left side tyres. Even though my right side tyres are completely shot, my left side tyres have still got some durability left in them, so I think it's pretty synonymous to say at the very least. In labelling that whatever does happen up to this point, I probably will win this race hands down. Because my pace at the moment is dropping well off at times. Although that's more or less to be expected. See how many more laps I can run on these tyres. Oh shit. I was not concentrating. Probably because I was trying to prevent myself from sneezing. Yep, I think it's pretty much fair to say my right side tyres are pretty much shot up to this point. but somehow I'm still keeping it under control because I'm able to go for a prolonged distance. Okay, well, I think I'll go one more lap on these right side tyres and then I'll change them. Yeah, let's do it that way. I'll do one more lap on these tyres and then I'll come and change them. Although it probably doesn't matter if I spin up to this point because I've already got a 2-lap margin over the rest of the field up to this point in the race, so it really doesn't matter what actually happens up to this point. Yep, okay. I'm gonna pit in now. I think it's fair to say these tyres have had enough of the torture. And I pit in along with my fellow Wolf, the CTR2. But yeah, I figured now was probably the time to pit. Because I was literally falling off the pace, from what I can tell, and now that I'm done with that, I'm just gonna have a drink. Okay, I think my voice is refreshed after the first round of pit stops, so I think it's fair to say I can probably make this a two-stop strategy in this event, considering I literally ran 35 laps on those tyres, and I think it's fair to say that I can probably make this a two-stop strategy, methinks. Unless I plan on going for the fastest lap. But ultimately, those right side tyres were done, because I literally could not keep the car under control any longer before I knew the inevitable was going to happen at turn 1. And already the CTR2 was up on the high line. I'm well back before he dropped back to the low groove, but ultimately it looks as though once again I will inevitably overlap the CTR2. Made a little bit of contact there as I got some oversteer, but fortunately I overlap him and I am now back up to speed. As of which, even though my left side tyres are still cold, my right side tyres are already beginning to warm up. And dependent on which car I run from these endurance events, we shall just have to wait and see. But I'm pretty sure from at least one or two of these events I will win one of the Formula GT cars. Because this is one of the methods on how exactly you can obtain either two of the Formula GT cars in the PAL version of this game. As of which, one of them you can retrieve is the Polyphony 001, which is basically the same design as a Williams that was... which is basically the same design as the Williams FW18 that was driven by Damon Hill. And there is also the Polyphony 001, which is basically the McLaren MP44 as it was driven by Ayrton Senna. I know this isn't the peripheral. I know that in terms of peripherals this isn't the clearly preferable NTSC version, but obviously I stick to my words, I stick to the versions of games I'm going to play, and evidently this I know for sure I'm going to complete, hopefully before the middle of October, dependent on how stacked my social life is. Because at the moment, even if I'm on summer break from my education, from my educational peers, I still have to consider the number of things that I want to do in my social life. Because I am a busy man. And to those of you who think it's easy for me to squeeze in times when I feel like I can actually get through these endurance events and where I have nothing else to do, that's probably one of the hardest parts. See. Well, no change on my best PB, but we are almost halfway through this race, because I've already completed 42 laps, and we only have 8 laps left before we get to the halfway point, and there is no doubt in saying that I will inevitably lead at the halfway point, and then once I have done, it will undeniably be the biggest lead that I've had for a single race in this game so far. Alright, so 44 laps have now been completed, and once again I am officially overlapping the Turismo skyline in this event, who was second in the early stages before pitting in on the 5th, before pitting in at the end of lap 5, and I would imagine he will probably make as many as 19 pit stops during this race, and honestly I am really not keeping on track with how many laps I have now overlapped the Turismo skyline. But again, because of the pretty much countless number of pit stops that he's having to make in this race, it is pretty much unquestionable that he will probably finish last in this race overall. Unquestionably, I might add. Alright, so we are now just over 30 minutes into this race, and my prediction is correct. It will take us somewhere just over an hour to officially complete and win this race. It's pretty evident to say overall that I am undeniably going to win this race. I can say that even before we reach the halfway point by default of tyre longevity. Because these almost 48 laps have really gone by in a flash. course, I did mention before that this was probably going to be the shortest endurance event of them all. And I was actually not too far off my best lap time, as I now come by to overlap the Evo 6 once again. I am within striking distance, and I overlap the Turismo skyline again, so I'm going to assume that's probably the 9th time in this race that I've overlapped the Turismo skyline, because ever since he made that first pit stop, his race has really fallen off a cliff. I really cannot tell who that is in the pits, but I'm now officially at the halfway point of this race overall. And I am right up against the wall, almost like I'm at Darlington. And someone just closed my door for some reason. Yep, I went way too high there. Still have no idea how I didn't touch the wall there, but even I know for sure that I was way too high. To officially make that corner. Even though for this version of Super Speedway they did of course get rid of the awning that was in the previous game, that basically extended across turns 3 and 4. And I did just get a glimpse at the sun there as I went by, and I now overlap the S2K once again, as of which all of the events, all of the cars that are in this event are tuned cars, as you would have suspected, and already I now have just 48 laps left. As of which, up to this point in this race right now, it's pretty much fair to say this event is probably going to be shorter than most of the events I've done in the professional league. And I think it's fair to say that I'm not going to beat my 38.2 PB, because I think that might be a long shot. Yeah, I think I did just see the sun there. It's popping over the clouds. I think that's where the sun is. Even though, up to this point, that's probably irrelevant. And it doesn't look like I'm going to beat my PB. Up to this point in the event. I was not too far off my personal best on that lap. Because my right side tyres are starting to show signs of wear again, I'm pretty sure that I won't manage to beat that PB on this set of boots. Unless I can manage to pull off something miraculous. And I was actually not too far off my best lap time on that lap. But already, I think it's pretty much fair to say that it's more than attestable to say that I've dominated this race. Looks as though we have a mess right in front of us. Although, it doesn't last very long because the Evo 6 comes into the pits anyway, so... Nope, my attempts of trying to beat my best lap time at the present time are not working. Although I still have to run another 10 laps on these tyres before, well, 11 laps actually, but another 11 laps on these tyres before I can officially change them, and then for pretty much the rest of the race, I will be running on my third set of tyres, as which it will pretty much be that way up to the end of this race. Respectively per se. Because even though my right side tyres were worn up to this point, I did manage to take them up to the end of lap 35 before I had officially decided my right side tyres were completely shot. And then once they were shot, I eventually decided it was time for me to change them. Another thing I can guarantee about this race is that, well, there are no cars on the same lap. We are all pretty much running our separate races up to this point. Oh shit! I almost clipped the wall there, but fortunately I was able to avoid it, and the pace of my car is starting to fall off just a little bit. But I'm pretty confident I can get up to the 70th lap before I have to change this set of boots. I don't know why I'm moving harder than I should be at the moment. I mean, I'm already dominating this race, regardless of what happens. And I'm pretty sure that I will be. Looking probably more than hard enough to see if I can take this thing out as long as I can. goes to sliding, slides down into the grass. I just managed to avoid getting clipped that time by the elise. I really had to shoot myself round the outside if I was going to avoid. Fortunately I did, and it's now just a matter of trying to get past the EV6. Although, I don't think I'm going to blame that one on myself, because the Evo 6 closed the door on me as I was coming off the corner. It was inevitable that I was going to overlap him, and then suddenly in the end, as I would have expected, from these AI who literally don't give a shit whether you exist or not, they will still close the door on you. And be as much of an annoying arsehole as a backmarker as they can be. Although, up to this point of course, pretty much everyone is a backmarker, and I am basically the arsehole that is dominating this race. Just very much being the Lewis Hamilton of this field. Whenever he usually leads a race, he dominates. So I'm basically just being the Lewis Hamilton of this field at the moment. Okay, so got about another 4 laps left on this set of boots, and then once I'm done with this, I can basically just head towards pit road. And I literally had to drift my way through the corner just to keep this car under control. So, I know tyre wear is becoming effective, but I'm still pretty sure that I can still make this into a 2-stop race in comparison to it being a 3-stop. And fortunately I do not make any contact with the CTR2, even though he is clearly running on fresher tyres than I am. It's pretty much evident, to say at the very least, my right side tyres are shot, but again, if I manage to go as many as 35 laps on the first stint, I can more or less do the same thing on the second stint. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So I think this is going to be the final lap on the second stint, and then once I've done that, I should be able to officially get the rest of this race done on my third set of tyres, because that is how durable. Because that is how durable the super slick tyres are in this game. Overrated by some, obviously, but again, it's still the perfect way for you to win an endurance race, or pretty much any professional league race, if you feel like it. Anyways, another 35 laps have passed so quickly, and now it is time for pit stop number 2, where I am once again pitting in with my fellow roof in this event, the CTR2, which means it's time for me to sip my water again. I just had to get a sip of water. Considering 30 laps are gonna go by so quickly in this event, it seems like, and I'm pretty sure that I do not need to push too hard on this set of boots to start off with, because I know for sure that I will end up winning this race. Excuse me. Up to this point, and overall, I would say this is probably where I will stay on this remaining set of boots. Oh shit. And I still clicked the wall. Well, whatever. Just going to try and see if I can come close to besting my PB, although I'm pretty sure that lap will probably stand up to this point, considering my left side tyres are still cold. Anyways, we are nearly 3/4 of the way there, because we are approaching lap 75, and officially it appears as though this will probably be where the money grinding laps begin, probably. Even though I'm pretty sure that because of the mistakes I'm currently making, I will not manage to get even remotely close in terms of hundredths of a second to my best lap time, because that will probably stand. So, yeah, there is that. Also, furthermore, my concentration at the moment is very lackluster, so I don't think this is going to change overall. I mean, I can still set mid-38s, but I don't think I'm going to go as high as a low 38 in terms of seconds it takes for me to set around this circuit. But, you know, there is that. So, you know, something might surprise me, but again, I'm not anticipating much. And oh, okay, I do manage to improve on my best PB, and it came at the end of lap 76. So I managed to go as high as a 38-1 on that lap. Probably because I was using throttle control through the third and fourth turns. Considering this is basically a egg-shaped oval, and unlike the Darlington Raceway, this course is actually pretty easy to tame. And it looks as though that will probably be about as fast as I can go around this course, because I'm going to be on this set of boots for probably the rest of the race, regardless of what happens next. It's fine. I did what I came to do, and it also came at one of my lucky numbers, as of which I very much consider 76 to be one of my lucky numbers. But officially, I'm pretty sure this will probably be about as good as I'm going to get in terms of my overall on-track pace. But I am getting a slipstream off the Evo once again. But you know, it might surprise me. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Even though I'm pretty sure a 38.1 will probably end up being the best lap time to set. Unless I can make a difference on this lap. Might surprise me. And ironically enough it does, because I now go into the high 37s in terms of my best lap time. Even though obviously I did have to slipstream off 2 cars in order to make that possible, so, you know, there is a reason behind it. There's always going to be reasoning somewhere. Plus, furthermore, drafting in this game is actually quite powerful. And I think that's going to end up being about as fast as I can go around this circuit. Doesn't look like I'm going to go any further than a high 37.8. I would say that's probably going to be the best lap time I set all race long. Here's what me thinks. And the Turismo skyline is once again in the pits. And I'm going to assume by now he's probably either 12 or 13 laps down, but it could be more than that. Because he's basically been well off the pace since he made that first pit stop. Because I would assume he's running on the simulation tyres. Either that or he's running on the sports tyres. Which is probably explaining the reasons on why exactly his tyres are going down very quickly. That could be the explanation I'm looking for. Anyways, 17 laps to go here at Super Speedway. And I'm pretty sure that by now I've already got this race well and truly locked up, because it will probably take somewhere over 8 minutes for me to set 16 laps around this course, and I am certain that this will not be too much longer before this race is said and done with. And I think that is now probably the 15th time, well, 14th time that I have overlapped the Turismo skyline. And don't know why I'm slipstreaming, but I'm just doing it anyway because, oh, fuck it. 86 laps are now complete, and we still have another 14 laps to go before this race is truly said and done. And I'm not going to plan on making any more pit stops in this race because I don't need to. Oh, fuck me. I thought for sure I was going to make the corner by turning it all the way, but apparently that didn't work. Although somehow I still set a 38.3, even though I clipped the wall off the exit of turn 4. But somehow it was still quick enough to go for a 38.3. I'm weaving at the moment, although it probably shouldn't surprise or scarce me at the moment. Don't hit me. Okay, I'll accept that. I mean, it was only a light tap, it wasn't anything critical. Don't hit the wall. Okay. I did not hit the catch fence. As of which, that's basically what these grandstands are surrounded with. Catch fencing. Because, you know, spectator safety. So, 10 laps to go here at Super Speedway. I am pretty certain this is probably going to be the lap where we will now surpass an hour, and it will probably only be a few more minutes before this race is officially said and done. Two cars are now pitting, as of which it's both the Lotus Elise and the CTR2 once again, who are both in the pits. And ultimately, we have now surpassed 1 hour in this event. And I am pretty much just driving this event like a dominator. Although I'm pretty sure I will not win this event under circumstances that Ned Jarrett had won the Southern 500 in 1965, because remarkably he won that event by 14 laps after the clear dominator in that race, which was Darrell Darringer, before he dropped out with engine trouble, I think it was. Ned Jarrett had ultimately went onwards to take the win by 14 laps. And even though I probably could be close to winning this by 14 laps, I'm pretty certain that it probably won't be by that much of a margin. Although, knowing me, of course, it will probably be something similar to that particular margin. Anyways, 93 laps are now complete, and officially it looks as though, without any doubts in my mind, this will easily be a dominant margin of victory. and I'm basically just only shifting once for the entirety of this lap, because ultimately, even though this is not a boring track, the race itself has actually been pretty boring overall since I took the lead, and once pit stops happened I basically just went on to dominate the rest of this event. And I have no doubt in saying this is probably going to be where the domination continues. Unquestionably. Meanwhile, we now have just 4 laps to go, and already we are precisely 1 hour and 3 minutes into this event. And it will only be another 3 laps, methinks, before this race is said and done for. And the wear is starting to display itself on the right side tyres once again, and officially we now have just 3 laps left. In this event. Alright, 2 laps to go now here at Super Speedway, where the lotus elise has already officially slid down into the grass once again. And I'm also getting a draft off the elise as I now dive into turn 3 once again. I did also put on the semi-racing suspension just in case, and I was nowhere near close to touching the elise, even though it was close. But anyways, final lap of the Super Speedway 150 miles, which overall I would think is probably going to equate to precisely 235, maybe 236 kilometers. Probably 236, but yeah, anyways. Overlapping the CTR2 once again, and ultimately I think I'm going to leave the film on because it won't be long before I've overlapped everyone else. But anyways, there we go. I have just absolutely decimated the field here at Super Speedway. And officially it is the Motorsport Elise that takes second place in the end, and I won that race by 8 laps. So the Motorsport Elise finishes second, then it's the Spoon S2000 in third, presumably 9 laps behind. Then it is the Mainz Lancer Evo 6 in fourth, 10 laps behind, and then... okay. So, in the end, I won by 8 laps over both the Lotus Elise and the Spoon S2000. Then it was the Evo 6 that finished in fourth, 10 laps behind. The Nismo Skyline ended up being 14 laps behind in the end. And a staggering 200,000 credits we have won. And then at the back by 15 laps it was the other roof in this event, which was the CTR2. And yes, I am going to save this game. Or this replay, I should say. And it took me just under 1 hour and 6 minutes to complete that event. And so, what car are we going to win this time? We win... Oh, okay. We win the Renault Clio Cup car, I think is what this is meant to be. And it's also quite nice in yellow, but you know... Whatever. It is what it is, I guess. But there we go. That is our first endurance event done and dusted. And we are now 85.8% complete with this game overall. And let's now check out our new prize car. But first off, I want to check the mileage. Alright, so overall, I drove a total of 238 kilometers in that event, which is equivalent to just over 150 miles. And this is our prize car from the first race, the Renault Clio Sport race car. And well, I have got to be honest, this thing does actually look pretty cool. In my honest opinion. Alright, anyways, I'm done. And it also has the number 9, which is the same number that Bill Elliott once drove with. Yeah, I think that's correct. Anyways. So that was the Super Speedway 150 miles. Next time we shall be doing... excuse me, the Roadster Endurance. Stay tuned.